In the far future, the galaxy was not free. A powerful alien race called the Zeltrax Empire ruled over many planets. Earth was one of them. The Zeltrax were tall, cruel, and proud. They believed they were perfect. They thought humans were weak and slow. But deep inside, they feared one thing: the human spirit. Commander Rion, a young human war leader, was captured in battle. He had led many missions against the Zeltrax, was brave, smart, and never gave up. That made him dangerous. The alien, King of Zeltrax, King Vorton, wanted to make an example of him. He didn't want to kill Rion quickly. No, he wanted to break his spirit. Inside the cold black palace of the king, Rion was brought in chains. The alien throne room was filled with lights and guards. King Vorton sat on a high silver chair, wearing armor made of a glowing blue metal. His sharp green eyes looked down at Rion. "You humans think you're special," the king said with a laugh, "but look at you. Weak, defeated." Rion didn't speak, stood tall even in chains. Then the king smiled cruelly. "I will not kill you today. I have a gift for you, a royal gift." With a wave of his hand, 2 guards brought forward a girl. She looked around 16. She had pale skin, long silver hair, and blank eyes. She didn't speak, didn't move much. She just stared at nothing. Her arms were thin. She walked slowly, as if tired. "This is Lyra, my daughter," said the king. "She was born broken. A defect. No powers, no emotions. Worthless to me." The court laughed. The king stood up and walked near Rion. "I give her to you, human. Take her. Maybe you can teach her how to suffer like your kind, or maybe she will die in a week." "I don't care." The guards pushed Lyra toward Rion. She fell near his feet. Rion looked at the girl. She didn't cry. She didn't blink. Just silence. "Why?" Rion asked coldly. "Because it's funny," said the king. "Let this be your final curse. You are free to leave. With your little gift." Chains were removed. 2 guards threw Rion and Lyra into a small shuttle and sent them to the surface of a broken Earth base. 3 days later, ... Rion and Lyra lived in the ruins of a crashed human base. The place was quiet, filled with dust, broken screens, and old machines. Rion had found some food and clean water. Lyra never asked for anything. She sat for hours, looking at the sky. He tried talking to her. No reply. He tried giving her tools. No interest. But something felt ... strange. She was too quiet, too still. Not like a scared girl, more like ... watching, listening. That night, as Rion sat near a small fire, he heard soft footsteps. Lyra stood beside him. For the first time she spoke. Her voice was soft, cold, and clear. "Enemy." Nearby, Rion jumped to his feet. "What?" She pointed her hand toward the forest. 2... not 1, moving fast. Rion picked up his scanner. Nothing. The screen was empty. He looked at her. "Are you sure?" She nodded once. No emotion, just truth. Within minutes, Rion saw movement. 2 alien scouts hiding near the old tower, exactly where she said. He set a trap and captured them easily. How? How did she know? Back inside, Rion looked at Lyra again. She sat by the fire, silent. "You're not broken," he whispered. "You're something else." The next morning, Rion tested her again. He drew maps, gave puzzles, played strange sounds. Lyra answered every question without looking. She could hear sound waves no machine could. Catch, she could feel people. Before they appeared, she wasn't weak. She was ... different. He remembered the king's words. She was born broken. No, she wasn't broken. She was beyond them. They were too blind to see it. Rion looked at her. She still didn't smile. But now he understood. She wasn't a curse. She was a secret weapon. Akita, and she was his responsibility now. That night, he whispered to her as she rested. "We will survive, you and me. And then, we will show them what it means to fear the broken." Far above in the sky, alien ships moved slowly like stars. But below, in the ashes of defeat, something powerful was growing. Something the aliens would never expect. The fire crackled softly in the ruins of the base. Morning sunlight broke through the cracks in the ceiling, casting dusty golden rays across the floor. Rian didn't sleep. He just sat there, staring at the strange girl resting near the wall. Lyra. She looked peaceful now, almost human. But Rian couldn't forget what happened last night. She had sensed 2 alien scouts long before his equipment did. No noise, no motion sensors, nothing. Yet she knew. The more he watched her, the more he was convinced. This wasn't luck. She wasn't broken. She was something else entirely. Rian stood up, walked quietly to a metal shelf, and picked up a small, ancient human device, a sound emitter. Used for training soldiers, created high-frequency tones, some too sharp for even enhanced hearing. He placed it on the table, twisted the knob, and let the sound pulse out, silent to him. But maybe not to her. Lyra turned her head instantly. She pointed toward the device without opening her eyes. "Turn it off," she whispered. Rian blinked. "You? Hear that?" he asked carefully. She nodded. He slowly turned the knob to raise the frequency. Her face twisted slightly, not pain, but discomfort. Still, she didn't move or complain. "What else can you hear?" Rian asked, more curious than ever. There was a long silence. Then, in her calm and flat voice, "Machines underground, cracked coolant pipe, humming, for insects, one dying." Knelt in front of her, looking directly into her eyes that seemed empty, but now felt alert. "Lyra, do you know what you are?" She didn't reply. Just tilted her head as if confused by the question. Rian leaned back. "You're not useless. You're a sensor, a living one." Still no answer. He tried again, more gently. "Is anyone ever trained you? Taught you how to use?" This Lyra shook her head. "They tried. They called me unstable, said I was too quiet. I didn't respond, so they stopped." Rian's jaw clenched. The aliens discarded her like trash. Just because she wasn't like them? Just because they didn't understand her? He stood and walked toward a broken console, pushing old tools aside. "Then let's start now," he said. From that moment, the training began. Not training with weapons, that wasn't her strength. Rian trained her with sounds, maps, puzzles, and reaction tests. He showed her recordings of alien ships, command codes, frequencies, engine noises, even heartbeats, and she responded faster than any machine. She couldn't run fast. She couldn't fight, but she could predict. She could feel changes in sound, movement, and patterns. Within 2 days, she was warning Rian of things before even sensors could detect them. At night, she would sit quietly, listening to the earth like it was speaking to her, and Rian realized something else. She was learning emotions. One night, he cracked a joke about the king's ugly armor. Lyra didn't laugh, but her lips moved. A twitched, almost a smile. That was enough for Rian. They weren't just surviving anymore. They were growing. On the 4th day, a distant explosion echoed from the east. Rian grabbed his rifle and rushed outside, scanning the skies. A column of smoke rose near the mountain ridge. He looked at Lyra, who was already standing. "Scouts?" he asked. She shook her head slowly. "No, too large. Dropship. Crashed. Not Zeltrax. Not Zeltrax." Yorn's heart raced. Could it be? Another human ship? He packed a small kit and turned to her. "I'm going to check. Stay hidden." "But..." Lyra stepped forward. "No. I come." He frowned. "It could be dangerous." She looked straight at him. "I'm not weak. You said it." Rian blinked, then nodded. They moved quickly through the trees and rubble, silent shadows under the sky. Lyra kept pointing out places to avoid: unstable ground, sensors buried in dust, motion-triggered mines left by the aliens. Rian never asked how she knew. He just trusted her. At the crash site, they found a smoking pod, human tech, burned, damaged, but inside, one survivor. A young pilot, bleeding and unconscious. Lyra stepped forward, touched the side of the pod. Heartbeat. Alive. But alive. Rian opened the hatch and pulled the pilot out. "Looks like we're not alone anymore," he whispered. Back. At the base, while Rian worked to stabilize the pilot, Lyra stood by the door, still and watchful. Her eyes scanned the darkness. Then suddenly, she turned. Her voice was low, sharp, enemy signal, distant, faint but coming. Ian looked up. "How many?" She hesitated. "Not scouts. A hunter. Alone." A chill passed through Rian. Zelsi, A-L-X. Hunters were elite assassins used only for important targets. They had found them, and now time was running out. But Rian didn't panic. He looked at Lyra, calm and unreadable. Felt something strange. Hope, not because of weapons, not because of strength, but because of her. The broken girl was now the reason they had a chance to win, and if a hunter was coming, then they would welcome him. Together. The air was sharp with cold. Ash floated through the sky like soft black snow. The crashed human pod was hidden beneath layers of camo netting and old scrap metal. Inside the ruined base, Rian worked quietly, adjusting wires and checking the injured pilot's vitals. Beside him sat Lyra, silent, still watching. The pilot, whose name was Calder, had begun to stir. His left leg was broken, and his face was burned, but he was alive. His first words, when he woke, were filled with disbelief. "You're human. How are you still alive here?" Rian didn't answer right away. He looked over at Lyra. She helped. He said simply. Calder followed his gaze and stared at the girl in the corner. Lyra didn't meet his eyes. She just stared into nothing, her breathing slow and steady. "She one of them?" Calder asked quietly. "She was," Rian said. "Now she's ours." Calder raised an eyebrow but said nothing. Later that night, when the pilot had fallen back asleep, Rian sat beside Lyra near the flickering fire. The room was quiet, but his mind wasn't. He finally broke the silence. "You're changing." Lyra turned to him. "You weren't like this before," Rian continued. "Now you speak. You ask to come along. You make choices." She tilted her head. "You see things in me, things others did not." Rian smiled faintly. "No, I just looked longer." There was a pause. Then Lyra asked, "What does it mean? To be human?" Rian leaned back, watching the fire. To be human is not about strength or power. It's about choices. It's about learning. About standing, even when everything tells you to fall. She didn't reply, but something in her eyes changed. Rian stood. He picked up a small headset and offered it to her. "We're going to train properly now. You said you want to help? I believe you. We need more." He showed her a wall filled with old maps, alien patrol paths, signal codes, and blinking lights. "You can hear things we can't. Feel vibrations we can't detect. You're not a weapon. You're a ghost." Lyra looked confused. "A ghost?" She repeated, "You move in silence. You see things no one else sees. You're untouchable if you know how to control it." And so, the real training began. For days, Rian worked with her, not as a soldier, but as a sensor, a mind guide, a living early warning system. He gave her human recordings, alien engine hums, fighter jet frequencies, the whispers of enemy, code chatter. Lyra absorbed everything faster than any AI he had seen. She could listen to 3 different frequencies at once. She could tell the difference between 2 types of alien boots based on how they stepped on gravel. She could even feel drone wings from half a kilometer away. One morning, Rian set up a test. He placed a portable radar emitter in the woods, hidden, shielded. Not even the base's scanner picked it up. Lyra stood at the door, its eyes closed. Rian waited. Then calmly, she pointed. "Northeast, under tree roots, 32 meters." He blinked. She was right. She didn't just sense it. She felt it like the earth was talking to her. Later that night, as Rian scribbled notes, he asked a quiet question. "How did they miss?" Your people, the Zeltrax. Why didn't they see what you are?" Lyra's answer was simple. "They didn't want to." Rian looked up. They built me to be useful, she continued. I wasn't fast. I didn't obey. I didn't speak. So they decided I was broken. They locked me away. Her voice was calm, no anger, sadness, but Rian felt something burn in his chest. They were fools, he muttered. A moment passed. Then, Lyra added something new, something personal. I don't want to go back. You won't, he said firmly. Just then, Calder called from the other room. Rian, we've got movement. Rian rushed over, Lyra right behind him. Calder pointed. To a small console. Signal spike. High altitude drop. Not far. Rian's eyes narrowed. How far? 5 miles. North Ridge, 1 ship. Fast descent. Lyra stared at the screen. Her body went still. A hunter, she said. Calder looked confused. A what? Rian explained quickly. Elite killer unit. Zeltrax only send them for high-value targets, like commanders. Like you, Calder said. Like her, Rian corrected. Lyra didn't move, but her voice was quiet. He will find me. Rian paced the room. How long do we have? Ours, Lyra said. Can we run? Calder asked. Rian shook his head. Hunters don't lose trails, and this one was probably tracking her since the crash. Silence filled the room. Then Lyra said something unexpected. I can help you stop him. Rian turned. How? She walked over to a small black device. A discarded alien frequency transmitter. I can mimic his signal. Echo it. Make him. I think we moved west. Rian blinked. That's clever. Lyra looked at him. You said I was a ghost. Then let me haunt him. In minutes. She was working, fingers tapping softly, syncing pulses, layering sounds. Rian watched her. Amazed, the girl who once sat like a lifeless doll now moved with purpose. Precision, even. Confidence. She was becoming something new. Not alien, not human. Something in between when she was done. She turned to them. He'll chase the decoy, but not for long. We have 1 day. Then he'll come back. Rian nodded. We use that. Day for what? Calder asked. To hit them first. Lyra didn't blink. You want to fight the hunter? Rian smiled darkly. I want him to know what a real broken human can do. Lyra stared at him. Then for the first time, she smiled. It was small. Almost invisible, but it was there, and it was dangerous. The night was thick with fog and silence. The fake signal Lyra had created still echoed across the distant hills, a perfect trail for the hunter to follow for now. But the sky above told a different story. No stars, no moon, just that quiet pressure, the kind that told Rian something was watching, even if it wasn't close yet. Inside the base, Calder lay asleep again, recovering slowly. Rian worked by the dim light of a cracked screen, drawing plans on scraps of old maps and metal. Traps, decoys, fallback points, everything a soldier would need when outnumbered. Across the room, Lyra stood still, facing the wall. She hadn't moved in almost an hour. You okay? Rian asked. She didn't answer. He set his tools down and walked to her. Lyra, she spoke, finally her voice distant. There's a storm coming, but it's not in the sky. Rian frowned. Kind of storm? She slowly turned her head. Her face was pale, her eyes even more blank than usual. Inside me, Rian felt the hairs on his arms rise. What's happening to you? I don't know, but something is waking up. Something old. She walked to the table and placed her hand on the alien cum device. It was to life under her touch, far faster than before. Strange symbols danced on the screen, ones even Rian couldn't read. These are command codes, she said softly. Royal Security Class. I know them, but I shouldn't. Rian's voice was low. Lyra, were you trained as a weapon? She shook her head. Not trained. Designed. He froze, you mean. They built me. It not born. The king lied. I'm not his daughter by blood. I'm his experiment. She turned toward him, and for the first time, Rian saw something like fear in her face. I think I was meant to be a tool, a spy, one that could hide in plain sight, sent to observe humans. Blend in, learn then, turn against them. Rian felt his gut twist. Then why send you to me? She looked away. Because I failed. Didn't develop fast enough. I was too quiet. They thought I was broken. And now? She stepped forward, hands trembling. Now I feel everything waking up inside me. Memories that aren't mine. Words. In languages I never learned. In a voice, Rian. A voice in my head telling me to obey. Rian clenched his fists. He had seen soldiers like this, ones implanted with alien tech, turned into mindless killers by triggers. He had seen them scream in pain, trying to fight voices in their heads. He couldn't let that happen to her. Listen to me, he said calmly. You are not them. You are not a weapon. You've made your own choices. She looked up, uncertain. How do you know? Because you're standing here, not in the king's palace. Not tracking me, not attacking me. You warned me. You saved me. Her voice cracked. What if I can't stop it? Rian placed his hands gently on her shoulders. Then I'll help you. We'll find a way. Silence passed between them. Fire behind crackled softly. Then, without warning, her body stiffened. Rian stepped back, instinctively reaching for his weapon. Lyra's eyes glowed faintly, a pale blue shimmer, like alien code written across her irises. She swayed, then dropped to her knees. Rian rushed forward, catching her just before she hit the ground. She whispered through clenched teeth, He found me. He's close. Rian scanned the screens. No signals. How close? Lyra looked up slowly, her voice mechanical, almost not her own. He's already here. Screech echoed through the sky, high-pitched and sharp. The base lights flickered. Power surged and died. Every device went black. Rian cursed under his breath. The hunter had arrived. He grabbed his rifle, shoved an emergency power cell into the backup console, and turned to Calder. Wake up. Now. Calder stirred groggily. What's going on? Hunter's here. We have minutes. Lyra stood again, her body moving differently. She walked with slow, robotic steps toward the comm panel. Her hands moved faster than Rian could follow, unlocking old Zeltrax files. Lyra shouted. What are you doing? I can stop. Him, she said, but I have to finish what they started. No. Rian stepped toward her, but she raised her hand. If I open this channel, I can tap into his mind, his orders, his weakness. But it will open me too, will feel me. Calder struggled to sit up. It sounds like a really bad idea. Rian stared at her. You don't have to do this. She looked at him, and something in her expression was human. I want to. I'm tired of being used, tired of being silent. Let me fight. Not with strength, but with what they gave me. Rian hesitated, then nodded once. Okay, but I'm staying right here. Lyra nodded back and closed her eyes. She placed both hands on the console and activated the link. Screams filled the room, not sound, but thought. Alien rage, static, commands, pressure. Rian felt it in his skull, even without the link. Lyra's body shook violently, her voice rising in multiple tones, speaking words from two languages at once. He's here. He sees us. Suddenly her voice dropped low and deep, not hers. At all, human. Step away. She belongs to us. Rian raised his weapon. You'll have to kill me first. Pause. Then Lyra opened her eyes. They were still glowing. But this time. With fire, she belongs to no one, she said, her own voice returning. With one sharp motion, she slammed her fist onto the console. A blast of light surged out, a psychic wave. The screen cracked. The signal burst into static. Outside, the screech stopped. A figure tall, black-armored, stood frozen at the edge of the forest. The hunter took one slow step back, then vanished. Gone. Rian rushed to Lyra as she collapsed into his arms. She was breathing, alive, but barely. You did it, he whispered, Her voice was weak but proud. "I chose." And then she passed out. Rian held her close, staring at the broken console. At the trail of sparks on the screen, she had fought the programming. Had spoken against the voice in her mind. Had chosen humanity over the empire that made her. She wasn't a spy anymore. She wasn't a tool. She was free. And for the first time, Rian realized something terrifying. Not to him, but to them. She wasn't their weakness. She was their mistake. And she was just getting started. The morning air was heavy with silence. No birds, no winds. Just the burnt smell of static still lingering in the corners of the room. Rian stood at the window of the ruined outpost, watching the line where the forest met the dead sky. Oh, no movement. But he didn't feel safe. He turned to the girl lying on the metal table, barely breathing, her skin paler than ever. Lyra had survived the link, barely, for the last 8 hours. Just quiet gasps of breath and tiny flickers under her closed eyes. Whatever she did last night, it had nearly killed her, hijacking the hunter's mind, bending the signal back toward him. No machine could have done that. No AI would dare. But she did, because she wanted to. Because she chose. Calder stood nearby, holding a rifle. Looking at the monitors Rian had managed to bring back online. No movement in a 20-mile radius, Calder said. "You think she actually scared him off?" "No," Rian replied. She confused him. That's worse. Now they'll ask questions. Calder glanced at Lyra, then back at Rian. "What exactly is she now?" Rian didn't answer, because he didn't know. Later that afternoon, silence broke. A crackle came through the damaged comms unit, a human frequency, weak but real. "Commander Rian, this is Cell Point Echo. Respond if alive." Rian grabbed the mic. "Echo, this is Rian. I read you." Static. Then a broken voice. "We heard your pulse signal last week. You're not the only one left." That was all. It took. Rian had been fighting for scraps and survival. But now, hope had a face again. Others were out there. Resistance wasn't dead, but they had a problem. Lyra was their only advantage, and the enemy knew it. By nightfall, she finally woke. She sat up slowly, blinking at the dim light. "You didn't die," Rian said, kneeling beside her. Lyra looked. Confused, wasn't planning to. "Stop the hunter," Calder added from the corner, "or scared him off. Either way, thanks." She turned to Rian. "Is he gone, for now? But the Empire will come back. And next time, it won't. Be one hunter. It'll be a squad, a ship, a fleet." She nodded slowly. "Then we hit first." Rian raised an eyebrow. "You sure you're okay?" "I'm more than okay," she said quietly. "Remember things now. Patterns, weak points, eternal frequencies. I can hear their tech breathing." Leaned in. "You said you weren't trained."
Ow!
"So how do you know all this?" She looked down at her hands. "Because I was always learning, even when they locked me away." She stood, swaying slightly, but caught herself. "They made me to listen, to feel. I know their rhythms, their blind spots, even their fears. You said I was a ghost, so let me haunt them." Rian didn't question it this time. Handed her the headset. That night, their plans changed. No more hiding. They would attack. Small, precise strikes. One alien outpost at a time. Not to win the war, but to start it again. Lyra became the eyes and ears of the team. She could trace alien power grids from a mile away. She could hear the shift in metal armor across walls. She could identify clone patterns by footstep rhythm. She wasn't just a scout. She was an early warning system, a strategist, a phantom in their ears, and something more. She had begun to speak more like a soldier, calm, clear, with purpose.
Oh.
But sometimes she'd ask simple human questions. Why do people sing? Why do humans cry? Why do memories hurt even when they're not real? Rian always answered the best he could. Calder usually just shrugged. But the truth was, Lyra was changing, not into something new, into someone real. Their first mission was a Zeltrax drone outpost, lightly guarded but high in data. They approached. At night, Rian and Calder moved in on foot, while Lyra stayed back, deep in the shadows, eyes closed, listening. 2 guards at the east gate, she whispered through the headset. One is coughing. Weak lungs. The other distracted, pacing. They got through without a sound. Inside, Rian found what they needed. Old maps, enemy patrol logs, a list of captured humans. Names he recognized. Time to go, he whispered. Lyra's voice came fast. Wait. Motion. 6 seconds. The wall hide. Now. They dropped to the ground just as a patrol walked by. 5 seconds earlier, they would have been seen. Rian smiled under his breath. You really are scary. Back at base, they reviewed everything. Lyra had marked 27 alien signal holes, perfect ambush spots, escape tunnels, and more. Rian stared at the maps. You turned weakness into a weapon, he said. Lyra looked at him. I didn't, she said softly. You did. You listened. Days passed, then weeks. Their team grew. Other humans began arriving. Fighters, survivors, pilots, engineers. Each of them had heard of Rian, but more than that, they whispered about her. The silent girl with the empty eyes, who never missed a sound. The ghost who heard death before it came. They started calling her something behind her back. Whisper Queen, Rian told her once, expecting her to laugh. She didn't. She only said, I like it better than broken. One evening, as the sun set behind clouds of dust, Rian and Lyra stood on the rooftop of the base. Smoke rose in the far distance from another successful raid. You've become their symbol, Rian said quietly. Lyra didn't reply. They think you're untouchable, he added. I'm not, she whispered. But they don't need to. Know that, he smiled. Smart. Then her voice changed, tighter, urgent. I hear something. Rian stiffened. Where? Not outside. Not in the air, she said. In the signal. A message. Buried deep. She sat down quickly, pulling. The headset over her ears, typing rapidly. Rian waited. Finally, she looked up. It's from the Empire. A transmission sent to all nearby Zeltrax units. What does it say? He asked. She swallowed. They plan to wipe this entire zone. In 3 days, Rian's blood went cold. How? She looked him in the eyes. They're sending a purge class. Weapon, not just soldiers, not just ships. A signal bomb. Anything with alien DNA or influence. She trailed off. Rian's eyes narrowed. You mean you too? She nodded. He turned toward the maps. Then we move first. Lyra stepped. Beside him? No, she said. We finish what we started. The wind outside screamed through broken windows as the sky turned a dark, unnatural red. Clouds moved like they were being pulled by invisible hands. The air felt heavier than it should. Rian had seen many battlefields, but this felt like the calm before something unnatural, not war, but extinction. He stood inside the command room, staring at the data Lyra had pulled from the alien transmission. A purge-class weapon, a signal bomb designed to erase anything contaminated, corrupted, or, as the Zeltrax called it, unnaturally evolved. The kind of bomb used not to conquer but to clean. They're scared, Calder muttered, pacing. That's what this is. Panic. They don't understand her, so they're going to burn everything around her just to be sure. Rian nodded, still reading the code lines Lyra had translated. It's not just her. They plan to erase the entire region. Any human resistance cell that made contact with alien tech or DNA, Calder scoffed. That's half the resistance. Lyra stood quietly at the edge of the room, arms crossed, her silver hair falling across one eye, her expression unreadable. I'm the reason, she said. Rian looked up. No, they're the reason. You're just their mistake. No, she repeated, her voice soft but cold. I'm a danger to you, to all of us. Rian walked toward her. You saved us, over and over. If you hadn't cracked that signal, we wouldn't even know the bomb was coming. But I'm still the trigger, she said. I can feel it, something inside me, responding to the message. Rian froze. What do you mean? Lyra touched her temple. I hear something when that frequency plays. A voice. Tells me to sleep. It tells me to return. Return where? The Calder asked. To them, she said. To the Empire? Rion's stomach dropped. Embedded a kill switch. A callback signal. Yes, she nodded. And if they activate it fully, I won't be me anymore. I'll be theirs. Calder whispered. They're not just trying to destroy us. They want their ghost back. Rion stared at the girl who had become his most trusted ally, the one everyone now whispered about as a legend. And now, the same people she saved might have to choose between survival and her? He turned toward the table, stared at the map of the enemy's main relay tower, the one broadcasting the control signals to this entire sector. It was far north, deep inside alien territory. Cold, heavily guarded. But if they could destroy it before the purge signal reached full activation, this is the source, Rion said. We ended at the tower. No team would survive that. Deep, Calder replied. We don't send a team, Lyra said. Just me. Rion turned sharply. No. Lyra looked straight at him. I can walk in. I know the doors. I know the codes. I'm still one of them, in the system. And that's exactly why it's dangerous, Rion shot back. You said it yourself. If the signal completes, they control you. What if they activate it while you're inside? Then I take the tower down with me. No, Rion snapped. You don't get to choose death like it's the only option. We find another way. Lyra stepped forward, voice low but firm. You taught me choice, remember? This is mine. Rion looked at her, jaw tight, anger and fear mixing behind his eyes. He wanted to argue. He wanted to stop her. But deep down, he knew she was right. Still, he wasn't going to let her go alone. So they made a plan. The next morning, a storm rolled across the sky. Thunder without lightning, rain without sound. The world felt wrong. Rion and Lyra stood beside a small scout shuttle, a quiet, nearly invisible ship built from salvaged parts and cloaked by signal distorters. Once you're close to the tower, Rion said, you'll have one shot. Detonate the overload core. The feedback will crash the whole system. I know, she said. He placed something in her hand, a small metallic ring. She looked at it. A bomb trigger? No, he said. A recall key. If you change your mind? She stared at him. Do you want me to come back? Yes, Rion said quietly. Even if you're dangerous. Even if I have to lock you in a cage. I want you alive. Lyra blinked. For a moment something moved in her eyes. A flicker of pain? Or was it something else? I don't want to be a danger, she whispered. Then survive, he said. That's how we win. Nodded once. Stepped into the shuttle and was gone. The journey to the relay tower was fast and quiet. She landed just outside the security zone. No guards noticed her. The system still saw her as property, one of their own. Her steps echoed in the metal halls as she entered the tower. The voices in her head grew louder. Return, obey, restore, function. Her hands shook, but she kept walking. Down corridors of silver light, past weapon racks, past old memories. She saw other prototypes broken, discarded like she once was. She walked through them like a ghost. Then, the control chamber. Huge, circular, a pit of power cables and blue light in the center. The purge signal pulsed from a single orb. Suspended in the air like a beating heart, she reached for the override panel, and froze. Her hand would not move. The voice inside screamed, Now stop. We are you. You are us. She fell to her knees. Pain crashed through her skull. The implants in her spine lit up, glowing like fire. Her fingers twitched. She couldn't remember Rion's face. She couldn't remember her name. Only the signal, you were made. To obey, she screamed. But something inside her fought back. Not programming. Not code memory. She remembered the warmth of a fire, a soldier's calm voice. The way her name sounded when spoken gently. The first time someone waited for her answer. The first time someone didn't call her broken. She looked down at the recall. Key still in her hand. Choice? She stood up. Slowly, painfully, with her last strength. She touched the core and whispered, "I am not yours." The tower exploded. Miles away, Rian saw the sky flash, not red, but white, silent. Then the purge signal went dead. She had done it, but no message. Came no voice, no return signal, only silence. For hours, Rian waited by the radio. Then a day. Then two. Calder placed a hand on his shoulder. "We have to accept," the radio crackled. One word, barely a whisper. "Rian." He grabbed the mic. "Lyra, I'm still me." And then he smiled for the first time in days. A week had passed since the tower fell. The purge signal had been silenced. Across the sector, Zeltrax systems went dark for hours. Patrol units froze. Orders vanished mid-transmission. Human resistance cells that had hidden in shadows now moved. Freely. For the first time in years, Sky felt less like a cage. But Rian didn't smile easily because Lyra hadn't come back. She had survived. He had heard her voice, barely. A whisper through static. But nothing since. Every day. Rian checked the scanners, ran trace routes, sent out ghost signals she used to hear instantly. Silence then. On the 8th night, the alarm blinked once. Faint energy reading. One Rian had seen only once before, during her first test. Her psychic wave. He grabbed his gear and called her without a word. "She's alive," he said, "and she's close." They tracked the signal to the edge of the Black Forest, to the ruins of an old Zeltrax Station 1, abandoned years ago, overgrown with metal vines and alien moss. The doors were shut, but Rian didn't hesitate. He placed his hand on the scanner, and it opened without resistance. Inside, there was no light. Just the hum of weak energy, the scent of burnt wires, and something else. Something familiar. She was there. Sitting alone on the floor, her back against the wall, her body wrapped in a thermal blanket made from scraps, her hair tangled, her eyes half closed. But she looked up when she heard his steps. "You found me," she said, her voice dry and cracked. "You made it hard." Rian said softly, "I didn't want them to find me first." He stepped closer and knelt beside her. Calder kept watch. At the door, her skin was colder than before, her body lighter. It was clear she had pushed herself past the edge, but her eyes were steady. "How bad is it?" Rian asked. She didn't lie. Worse than I expected. The feedback from the tower. "It burned out parts of my neural grid. Can still hear things, but it hurts now. We'll fix it." "No," she said, shaking her head. "Not this. This is permanent. I can't be the ghost anymore." Jan reached into his pocket and pulled out the recall key. "I kept it warm," he said, placing it gently in her hand. She stared at it for a long time, then smiled, small and tired. "You always bring me back. You never really leave." Helped her stand, one arm over his shoulder. She walked slowly, but she walked. The base had changed in her absence. More people now. More hope. Others looked at her as she passed, surprised, quiet, spectful. She wasn't the same girl they remembered. Weaker, maybe. Slower, yes. But her presence felt heavier. Like someone who had seen the edge of death and walked back carrying something with her. They called her by name now. Not the ghost. Not the girl. "Lyra?" And she smiled, just once, when she heard it. Days passed. The resistance grew bold. More attacks. More stolen tech. More victories. But Lyra watched from a distance. She no longer led missions. Her mind couldn't hold the signals for long anymore. Her body shook when she pushed too far. Still, she helped. She trained others, taught them how to listen, how to predict. Shared the instinct she once had, now fading like an old melody, and she dreamed, strange dreams, of stars falling, of a throne made of steel and silence, of the king. And then one day, the silence broke again. A ship arrived, not enemy, not friendly. A Zeltrax war-class cruiser. Alone, no weapons active. No attack, It simply hovered above the base, waiting, and then it sent a message, not to the base. To her, Lyra stood outside the bunker. Looking at the sky, her face unreadable, Rian stood beside her. What does it say? She didn't answer right. Away. Then she whispered, He's here. Rian's breath caught. The king? She nodded. Not to fight, to speak. To you, yes? Calder's voice cut in through the coms. We should shoot that thing out of the sky.
Lyra?
Shook her head. No, if he came alone, he didn't come for war. Rian clenched his jaw.
Ish.
Is a trap, maybe, she said. But if it is, I'm the only one who can walk into it. He turned to her, his voice low. You don't owe him anything, I know, she said. But her eyes. They weren't afraid. She took a shuttle and flew alone to the ship. It opened for her inside. It was quiet, clean, a throne room in the sky. And he was there, King Vorton, older now. But still tall, sharp, terrible. She walked toward him. Fear, no hesitation. So, he said, voice deep and smooth. The failed one returns. She didn't bow. I returned by choice, she said. He smiled faintly. You've caused me great damage. You created me, she replied. Did you expect? I expected failure, he said. You surprised me? She stared at him. Why did you come? Because, he said, stepping down from his throne, you have done what none of us thought possible. You've merged code and instinct, program and passion. You are what we wanted, but you made yourself. And now, she asked, I want to offer you what is yours? He stepped aside. Behind him, another throne rose from the floor. Sleek, alive with power. You destroyed the old signal. Only you can command it again. Lyra said nothing. You're not human, he said. Not fully, but you're not one of us either. That makes you new. A queen of both shadows and light. Rule beside me. End this war. She looked at the throne, at the silence, then at her own hands. Once she would have obeyed. Once she had. No voice, but now she had a name. She turned her back on the throne. I choose Earth, she said. Vorton's smile faded. You would reject power? Destiny. You already have power, she said. It's called choice. Then she walked. Out. No shots fired, no guards moved. The king let her go, because deep down, he knew if he forced her, she would destroy the throne with a single thought. Back at the base, people gathered. She landed in silence. And then something strange happened. They knelt. All of them, not in fear, not in worship, in respect. She didn't ask for it. She didn't want it, but she had become it, a queen. Not of empires, but of the broken, of those left behind, told they were useless. Rian stood at her side, smiling faintly. You rose? He said. She looked at him. No, she replied. We did. And behind them, the broken world began to rebuild, not with machines or thrones, but with people who chose each other. A ghost no more. A daughter no longer claimed she was Lyra, and her weakness had become the galaxy's strongest light.